So the latest updates are we're deep into creating courses at the moment, which will be filling out and fleshing out the initial phase of the developer hub. We're going to actually open this up to the community after, so the community can come and create courses. The intention for the developer hub, of course, is not for the ENF to continue to maintain it long term, but for everybody outside in the community to actually pick it up and start using it as a place to centralize content and creation of education materials for people who are either coming into the ecosystem or just want to expand their knowledge of the ecosystem, whether it's development in terms of programming or other aspects of creating applications and whatnot on EOS. So think of it like Udemy, where it's video courses that you can follow and start learning about everything that is EOS. There's also a couple other places there. So we've talked about this in one of the previous firesides where it's a learn to earn. So you're able to learn, and then there's a couple different pathways within the developer hub where you can start earning based on the things that you learned. You can get funding from Pomelo, stuff from the grant framework. There's a couple other goodies that I'm not ready to share yet, but you'll see it when it goes live. And then there's, of course, a discovery side of this where you can go and see all of the things that are currently built in the network so that you understand the various puzzle pieces that you can use to put together applications and just everything else that you might need to build a project on EOS.
Love it. Learn to earn sounds awesome. And does it also integrate how for example, how can you utilize Trust EVM? Because that's a lot of the questions that I'm getting from people at the W3 Vision. There are some people that ask, they already got code on Solidity, but they want to move to a more scalable solution.
That's what's special about the EVM. It's 100% fully top to bottom compatible with Ethereum. All of the documentation, all of the toolings, everything that exists in the Ethereum community is usable with Trust EVM. And like you said, it's a more scalable solution, the most performant on the market, and that'll be showcased with actual benchmarks. So it'll be more than words, more than marketing. It will be the most performant and fully compatible. So Nathan's focused on increasing the adoption of EOS native at the base layer, because that's how you're going to get the most feature-rich experience, being able to leverage the best of the best. But as we know, we're still behind a little bit. We're behind on documentation. We're behind on educational materials. We're building out the SDKs. We're building out tools like IBC, better resource management. So all of these things are in the works, and that's definitely the goal, is to increase the adoption of the native blockchain. But it's just such a huge door that opens up because of the Trust EVM. And that's why this is such a strategic bet, because it allows us to go from 0 to 100 without having to do all of the normal things that you would have to do to build out an ecosystem and create a network effect. We're in the process of creating that for native, but for Trust EVM. So the documentation will be very simple for developers. Here's how you connect to RPC nodes and just deploy your contracts, and things just work. So one thing that will make it work better is getting the partnerships and the deployment of useful applications, EVM chains. So there's the technology itself, but the real superpower of Ethereum is the tooling and the open source code and the developer community around it. But for a lot of the applications, it does require additional contracts to be deployed. So for example, like Chainlink oracles. So those are a building block for building certain kinds of DeFi. So if you don't have the oracles on your chain, then it's lacking that. If you don't have Gnosis safe, you don't have multi-sigs. So that'll be the most important thing I see when launching the EVM, because the tech's there, the knowledge base is there, the developers are there. It's really just giving them those final tools that they're going to need to build great applications. And that also ties back into the work in Singapore next week and the work that's just been happening in the background that there's not a lot of updates on, but those connections and partnerships are happening, because that's really what's going to make Trust EVM successful. It has all of the different ingredients to succeed, but you need the ecosystem partners and the ecosystem builders to take it across the finish line. I'm really confident that we'll be able to do that. But yeah, from the developer standpoint, though, it's parity with Ethereum.